I'm on stage today. I'd like to talk about the new video that Fateless just released here. We have a date so we can play Godforge again. Yes. Now it's still tentative, and still it says 100%. I'm not sure, Fateless. I'm not sure. But I want this video to be a real talk about my feelings towards this and about like kind of Simon's like in between the lines. Obviously, he didn't want to say stuff directly, right? He's the CEO of a company. He's a co-founder, co-CEO, and I don't know how their dynamic works, but he's the face of the company, right? And he's like a major decision maker. So I'm going to help you guys kind of digest this business stuff that he set out here for. But I think this is great. I think that this content into a beta, very happy with, right? If we get to play the game for a few weeks, right? We're in the middle of the Void Hunters alpha, right? And I'm playing that game. It's an 8-week alpha, right? So I hope we see the same thing with this too, where it's like there is a build of the game where they just lock down the beta. It's open for like a month or two, right? And hey, just go play the game, right? Go 60 some characters, you know, and have fun with the game, right? Anyway, this is awesome, and I kind of want to break down this dynamic here. There's a reason Simon started with this. This is what's on Simon's mind, right? Is the game stable, right? Well, that links to the other decision they made. They changed their entire backend. Why did they do that, right? I think I know the answer why, right? Anyone who played the alpha at the highest level was aware there was something that could invalidate your run. And it was something the Vegas winners, right? So myself, Lyco, Fusion, and Papatez, and then the people that were pushing for the Fafnir damage were very aware of. Very, very aware of it. And that was the gear bug. Fateless came out. So my understanding is Hivemind found it. I wasn't there when they found it, but like I believe that Fusion and Lyco and Pone and Nine, I think it was a team thing, but they all found it. And we reported like day 1, day 2, right, of the alpha. And it was something you can equip infinite gear to your characters. You could, if you equipped and unequipped fast enough, you can get infinite gear on them. And Fateless came out and said, if you're using this bug, you are invalidated from all prizes. So it's something you could do on accident, right? If you were just making fast mouse clicks and you had a slow enough internet speed and like he said the API calls were getting cluttered, you could have the gear bug without realizing it. So it was something that it's why it took us so long to do stuff, is because we took the time, we did our due diligence. We checked our gear sets. It takes 2 or 3 minutes each character, each time you want to do something. Every time you give a character, we took 2 or 3 minutes to make sure we didn't have the gear bug, right? So it's really good that they're aware of this, because this gear bug would kill Godforge. If we go into early access with the gear bug, game's dead. Game is absolutely dead. You can clear all content with one character as soon as you get a piece of gear, because you can equip the same gear multiple times with the gear bug. So is the game stable? I think is the number one concern of the backend devs, right? It's probably the reason why they had to change the backend. They probably couldn't fix that gear bug with their current backend, because it was about the amount of API calls that you were sending, not about like a specific whatever, right? And if you can't speed up your backend, you can't speed up your backend. That's going to exist. And then obviously it sounds like they had issue with people hacking the game and just getting whatever they wanted, right? So in that scenario, if they moved to early access with their current build, if the gear bug was still in the game, because they tried to squash the gear bug from beta 1 or alpha 1 to alpha 2 or alpha 2 to alpha 3, and they couldn't squash it, right? And it was like probably priority 1 for them. So if you could hack in any character I wanted to, and then slap on any gear I wanted to, I'd have the game done in like a day or two. You know, with how much energy they give you at the beginning of the game, I could probably crank through a game with a level, you know, even a level like 20 Zeus with like cracked gear, like infinite gear, as much attack as I wanted, right? So yeah, I imagine this is probably weighting very heavy. And I think this is confirmed by the fact he says he wouldn't feel good taking money as the game as it is now. I am someone, I own a business. I own Magnus Soul Studios, right? And I made a D&D book, and that's the only product we have is one D&D book. I think I was charging $5 for it, and I read it after we charged up, and we got one sale, right? We got one sale. It was very unsuccessful. But I read it and I was like, you know what? This isn't a good enough product to sell. This is more of a fan product. We're not a professional studio. I'm just a guy who loves D&D. So I made it free because of the same feeling Simon's feeling now. It's like, hey, I love my product. I love that D&D book. But if like I didn't feel good taking money from it after I looked at it. And he's probably the same way. He's like, hey, our game is a little unstable. Hey, our backend's not that good. Like, I don't want to take money from the community. I have a video monetization too that says every dime that he takes comes from someone. And he's probably not okay with that in the state of the current game, right? If the game's not good enough to spend money on, they have people that will, like community members such as myself, that will back that up. Hey, this isn't worth your money, right? But speaking of money, this is an important thing. We all know that your bank account is a doomsday clock. When you run out of money, you can't eat, right? That's how it works for them too. They have X amount of money in their bank account. It costs Y amount of money to run the company for a month. X divided by Y is how many months they have. And it's something I never said, but I had a sneaking suspicion when we moved from beta to early access that this doomsday clock may have been closer to 0 than they wanted it to be, and they needed money, right? And it was so much that they were talking to people willing to share a portion, like to sell a portion of their company or a board seat to an investor to make money. That's definitely something they didn't want to do. That's something you never want to do, is sell a portion of your company. You want to own everything, right? Especially like it. The first thing I would do if I was a board member, I'd say, hey, stop being so transparent. That'd be honestly, if I was a board member, that's the first thing I'd say. Hey, you're sharing way too much about your game. But that's what they want to do, right? And so if they get board members on, they can't do what they want to do anymore, right? And so you have this doomsday clock, right? Tick, 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 tick over above your head. You have your game that's like, hey, there's still game breaking bugs here, right? No matter how fun the game is, if we release with the gear bug, the game dies and we make no money, right? And it sounds like they found an investor that has a compromise. They didn't say the details of it, so I don't know if a board seat was given up or if there's shares given away, right? But it sounds like they found an investor that gave them breathing room, and it moved that doomsday clock back a couple months. Honestly, it sounds like it moved the doomsday clock back to the end of the year, more, because they're talking about Q4 early access, right? So if it went from early access like now to early access end of the year, this investor must have invested a large amount of money for a very reasonable price, right? So honestly, I want to say kudos to Simon for this. Sharing the struggle of this for people like me to break down would not have been easy, right? I think that, like, absolute kudos. This is incredible. Like, this should make you feel so good about the game. I have said this again and again. I do not trust Fateless to make the right decision the first time. We see that with choosing the wrong backend. We see that with I think the way they handled the release date was very poor as well. I think that however, I do have absolute faith in Fateless that they will eventually get it right. Absolute faith. And I think that this kind of video presentation renews that faith in me. I am 1000% like, feels good, man. It really does feel good, right? The last couple of videos have been kind of nothing burgers from Fateless, or like things I'm like wondering why they're sharing, because they're very much in development. And I am very happy that this is going into beta than early access. I don't think their dev team and their design team had enough time to balance these characters, balance is something I've been crying out for. I'm still crying out about initiative. I think initiative is a piss poor stat. And they want to rival speed, but they don't give it the heat it needs. I ran the numbers, man. Like initiative does not help you, and it's ultimately tied to the fastest character. So I hope that I hope this beta will show that. It's something I'm gonna push for. My feedback should be like, hey, initiative teams don't work. I'm still just running speed. Hey, initiative teams don't work. I'm just running speed, right? Like that's gonna be something I'm pushing and pushing and pushing for, right? I think another thing too is I think strong hit chance needs to be better, right? I want more robust strong hit chance. So like that's something I'm gonna be testing in the beta. I'm gonna be testing strong hit chance. How's it feel? Right. I'm gonna be testing, the nitty-gritty stuff. That's gonna be me, right? I'm gonna be testing that during the beta. But absolute kudos to the Fateless team for sharing this, right? Is there anything else I want to touch on in this video beforehand? Yeah, and so they probably, saw this here, right? And was like, okay, we can release a, they have to do their tech test, right? They knew about this. This is probably what moved the game from the end of last year to this year, right? To February. Was this 2 extra weeks of just tech testing and implementing and whatever, right? And then just polishing as well. But I think the reason the game kept getting moved back was likely due to the backend, right? They just couldn't stabilize the backend. And so they probably wasted a lot of dev time trying to make that old service used to work, right? They moved to MetaPay. I forget what the other one is, what they moved from. I think they told us. Was it PlayFab? I think it was PlayFab for the alpha, right? So they moved from PlayFab, which didn't have the scalability they wanted to. They couldn't have the API throughput they wanted, to MetaPlay, which sounds like it does, right? And so this is probably what's been happening is they've been trying to squish this gear bug and they just couldn't do it. And they finally made the call, hey, we need to make the move, right? And so that's probably what's been delaying the game, I imagine, if I had to like put a pin on it, right? Oh, but this is just my speculation, of course, too. I don't know what happens in these meetings, but like, you could get a vibe for what's happening, right? So yeah, this is the thing. We push back the doomsday clock, right? The beta is good because we're gonna actually get to play with the economy of the game now. Like the alpha, we didn't really get to play with economy. It was like, hey, here's everything given to you, right? I am very interested in this narrative. I want to play the narrative so badly, and I love that. I would love to hear Aaron's take on how it feels to get more narrative, right? Be like, it sounds like they went from these text boxes to something more, right? So I wonder how I know that Aaron and the what is his name? The cinematic director. That's not his title. I don't remember his name, but I know he's bald. He's bald with a very refined beard. What is his name? I'm so sorry. I can only describe you as the bald guy. The bald guy and Aaron are going to be super happy about that, right? He was the one in charge of running the cinematic, right? I don't know if I don't know which cinematics he made, but he's in charge of a lot of that kind of stuff, right? About the presentation of the narrative, while Aaron's the mastermind of the narrative itself. Anyway, and then community experience. Yeah, I think this weighs very heavy on the community. I don't think this is not flower talk. The community weighs so heavy on Simon, right? He wants to experience it too. We don't want, like, I said before, Void Hunters alpha is out right now. It's not feeling good, man, right? I'm not gonna be lying to you. The Void Hunters alpha is not feeling that great to me. And I think, he doesn't want to launch and be the community like, hey, this sucks, right? And so he really wants to push this community thing. And then this is big for me. Draft mode's back in the MVP, in early access MVP. Oh yeah. I was worried about draft mode being in developmental hell forever. I thought it was never going to come. once it got cut from early access, I thought it was never going to come, because it's just something that's like, I don't know how it's going to make you money, if that makes sense, right? Also, there's something we need to talk about here. We need to talk about the people in this meeting because they're cool, right? This guy right here, this is not the bald guy I was talking about. This is a different bald guy. His name is Igor, and he is a Giga Chad. I mean, I know the other people in here too. I mean, I know Sham, Dan, and Simon. I don't know any of these other people. But Igor is our boy who saved Alpha. Those of you who don't know, I think it was Alpha 2 or Alpha 3. The game broke and it was just down. The backend was down. And Igor was the man who woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning to fix it. Like, and it was like everyone was asleep. Everyone was like, you know, honk shoe. But Igor got up and fixed it for us. So in my mind, Igor is the giggest of Giga Chads. And I just want to point that out here. I hope this is the same Igor. Maybe they have 2 Igors in their company. But he is a Giga Chad. Obviously, all these people are Giga Chads. But like, I saw Igor that I was like, that's my boy. Right? So we're probably talking about backend stuff here. Right? Anyway. Yeah. As for the content, this is fine. This is, I don't know what, like, I don't know the difference between these two, but whatever, I'm sure it'll be okay. Ascension Dungeons, excited for, right? So it looks like we have, there's 4 here, 1 here. There'll be 7 bosses. Cool. In the beta. Cool. I agree with there being a wipe too. I think that, like I said, I think the balance is super, they need to figure it out. I would hate for someone to invest in, let's say a Quetzalcoatl, and they're just like, wow, this is super disappointing, right? And they have a chance to fix Quetzalcoatl. I think the same thing too with Yang Wang, right? I think there's a few characters that are just like, hey, I went to pity, I got Yang Wang, I try to make him work, he just doesn't work, right? I think the same thing's true for some of these. I think A-Slag is a rare that like she has one turn block debuffs, but she had to speed tune her to make it work, but then she messes up her own speed tune. And so like that's a character that just doesn't work, right? And when you make 204 characters, this stuff's gonna fall through the cracks, right? You're like, oh, block debuffs is good. Oh, speed turn mean manipulation is good. And then you put them together, you're like, wow, this sucks, right? Because they don't synergize well together, right? Because you outrun your own buffs. Yeah, so I think that will do for here. But I just wanted to take the time, and oh yeah, this is the stuff that's probably coming by the end of the year too. So World Boss, obviously exciting for, right? Reliquaries, I haven't watched the end video yet, so I don't know a whole lot about these, right? But like draft mode, this is num. This is what I want to play. I want to play draft mode all day, every day, right? I want to play this as hard as possible. I'm very excited for this. So I hope to see. I hope this gets well developed. I hope this becomes a mode that I want to play for, you know, hours, right? I have hundreds of hours in Slay Spire. I have 100 hours in Balatro. I have hundreds of hours in Isaac. I have hundreds of hours in a ton of roguelikes. And I hope this is a roguelike I can put hundreds of hours into, right? Events, obviously, all this stuff is like super important, right? But I want to conclude by saying I am very, very impressed with Fateless's commitment to transparency. The amount of conclusions you can draw from what he shared with us really shows the struggles of Fateless. It really does. And like to show that level of vulnerability really shows how transparent you're being, right? He's talking about like people have been playing the game. They probably had focus groups in playing the game for 6 months, and you know they took this feedback seriously. They say, hey, a new user is going to hate this, right? Hey, like I don't get weapons early enough, right? Is like the feedback they got, and they're changing the game because of it, right? And like I said too, I said it again, I'll say it again. I don't trust Fateless to get it right the first time. I think that they need a lot of feedback. It's their first game. It's a massive project. I think they're in over their heads. I'm going to be straight with you. However, I trust them to get it right eventually because of the way that they process feedback, the way that they, it seems like they reject bad feedback and take good feedback, right? And that's a very powerful skill to have. So obviously I'm excited for Godforge, right? I'm wearing my Godforge shirt, right? I'm an official alpha tester. I'm going to be an official beta tester, right? I'm going to be an official EA tester. I'm going to be an official launch tester, right? I'm gonna be all the testers. So if you guys release a beta shirt, I'm buying it. I don't buy shirts for any other company, man. I only buy for Fateless because I love the game, I love the project, love the people. And like I said, with the last couple of videos being kind of nothing burgers, it feels really, really good to have this video actually be something meaty that inspires me to make a video. Because I have been so uninspired to make videos, man. I've been so uninspired, but this renews me. I'm excited again. Only a month and a half away. And, you know, it's good, man. And I got to tell you something, guys. I want to tell you something, a little secret here. I work for a university, right? I'm a math tutor. I get off by May 15th. I'm full-time gaming. Full-time gaming, boys. So expect a lot of coverage here when the alpha's out or the beta's out. All right, take care. Bye.